Hello, this is the Product Marketing Group, and this is our iteration release for January 15th through January 28th. And I'm just going to go ahead and just to remind everyone what our final mascot of Q4 was. It's the cat doing a smooth landing into next fiscal year. So with that, I'll hand it over to Laura.
Thanks. Yeah, this iteration did a couple of things in Contentful. The biggest one, I'll share my screen and kind of show just the resources page. We have this resources page that was built in Contentful a while ago, kind of using an old way of like indexing through the items on the page. So I refactored that to work more like a service, which is great. But it turns out the bulk of this page, this browse all resources section, there's hundreds of resources here. We have put them in Contentful, but the code was still calling a YAML file for these. So like we were updating things in Contentful, not seeing it on the page. Irene kind of pointed this out. So we fixed up that to actually fetch from Contentful now and updated the page so that the ones that should be removed and added are removed and added. I made a small change to the footer. This used to say GitLab is a trademark of Software Freedom Conservancy, which it should be Git. So made that update, which was great for Contentful because again, one spot and it fixed everywhere. And now that matches what's in www and what's on the handbook. It might not be on the handbook. I don't know. It's a different footer. And one of the other things that we had a lot of discussion around was tagging and teams in Contentful and trying to get permissions set up. So after a lot of back and forth with Contentful, turns out that we had hoped we could give everyone a base level like editor access and then upgrade certain people to be publishers on each team, kind of to be the leads of their own team. But Contentful always defaults to the lowest level of access. So if they're on a team with edit access, they won't be able to publish. So this means rethinking how we've been doing teams. There's been a little bit of discussion about just giving the people publish access who want publish access and not utilizing teams. We thought about using tags. Tags work a little bit differently. Every tag would need a role, so each team could get a tag, like the events team could get a tag and have access to those tags, but then there would need to be a role in Contentful called like events team, and they would have their permission set up based on those tags, which is a little messy. We start running into like collisions of different permissions and why can't someone publish? But they've got so many tags, they've got space access, but not whatever. So it would just get complicated. So my recommendation, we can open this for discussion, is we've been giving people publish access as they've been asking for it for the time being, and it's been okay. Most of the people that want publish access are kind of power users or heavy users of their page. The events team wants events access, and they're not really messing around on the, GitLab Duo page or whatever. Like they want to change the events page, and it's probably okay that they have access to publish anything because they're really only doing things in the events page. I do think we should have our top key pages like pricing. That should probably have a label that only CMS administrators can publish on, but otherwise opening up permissions so that we don't do team-based publishing. That was very long-winded. There were a few other little pieces in Contentful that I fixed up this iteration. An Atlassian fix, solutions education fix, but otherwise that was the bulk of my iteration. I will stop sharing my screen and pass it to Trevor.
Nice work, Laura. Awesome. Yeah, so from design this iteration, we made some changes to the pricing and sales page for GitLab Duo Pro. So exciting stuff there. Designed a new solution page for value stream management will be brought into the next iteration for us to build. And then resolved an issue with the solution page hero template. So that's everything from design. I'll pass it over to Miguel.
Thanks, Trevor. I'm gonna share my screen. Okay, so yeah. So this iteration, we merged and finally wrapped up all the open source pages, and that went good without like bugs or fixes that needed to be done. So it was good. I did a couple of fixes with an horizontal scroll we were having on pricing pages, and also we were having it on the solutions pages. So that was fixed. And I just finished this this MR, which is part of a bigger body of work, which essentially we changed like 150 pages, which had a suffix in their slug that we didn't want to have there. And we also needed to, besides changing all these slugs, we needed to make redirects from the old slug to the new slug in the .dot repo. So all of that was done, and I think it went good. So before we were having these .html suffixes on this slug, and if you go right now, there's a redirect that goes to the good URL, and yeah, so that went out, and yeah, that was my main work for this iteration, and I will continue working on. I have an issue for the canonical paths, and I haven't done that work and the documentation, so I will do that next. And this body of work, which is part of some of the SEO stuff, which is the part of the MR I just showed. So we need to make sure that everything is good in production and that this issue is solved, and after that, this issue will be closed, and that will be all. Next is Mateo.
Thank you, Miguel. Sharing my screen. All right. So first I had a bunch of fixes for the blog. We had wrong canonical paths being generated. We had missing or actually extra things that should not be there in the RSS feed. So I fixed that. The live previews had the code highlighting being the same for all of them. It was just red. So I fixed that, and they now have proper code highlighting based on language. And then this group of issues here is part of the effort to improve our pipelines. So these, I had a bunch of working sessions with Nathan and John to check what could be removed from the pipelines or what could be improved. We also added some tests to this. So for example, this one where fail if there is a protected route being generated. This one is because of the issue we had before where our landing page was overwritten by the landing page coming from www. So there is now a Ruby check there to see that those routes are not generated. And if they are, it will fail the pipeline. And then we had a bunch of good results with this, especially the blog. It's almost cut in half the time it takes to go to production with an update to the blog, which was huge. And then we also had some good numbers. The review app cleanup got much faster. And yeah, this was all part of these group of issues here to improve the pipeline. Then we also had this global privacy control signal where we needed to detect a new experimental feature that's currently only in Firefox. And it needed to have two checks, one for this privacy setting and one for the state where the user was, because this is something that only applies to certain states. So I did that, and this is the results of the checks displaying the state and the privacy setting here. And then after that, I'm still working on this one. This is pagination for the category and tags pages in the blog. And yeah, I think that's it for me. I'll pass it back to Lauren.
Wow. Those pipeline improvements. That's awesome. That means our pipelines decreased for deploying things to production, which is amazing. So and really awesome to hear how we're moving forward with those roles and permissions, Laura. let's just give everyone the publish access. Let's make it simple, you know? Like positive intent. Yeah. We'll lock down, you know, the homepage and the pricing page, but everything else, sure. Okay, with that, we'll close it out and we'll see everyone next week. Later.